Namaskar. Welcome to Ek Samvaad at Arunima Ankuran. Today we're in conversation with author Jyoti Thatte about her book Sanatan, The Enigmatic Culture of Eternity. A warm welcome to you and thank you so much for joining us on Ek
Thank
Samvaad.
you. Yeah, thank you.
A word about Arunima Ankuran. Arunima Ankuran is an initiative for positive social change through self-development. The goal is greater well-being and happiness for all. At Arunima Ankuran, we believe that each person is unique and special in some way, that each person can make a difference, that each person can have an impact, and that's what inspires us to keep going. So today's guest is very special. She's a multifaceted personality. She has done MSc Mathematics, MA English Literature, Diploma in German Language. She's a cricketer who represented Vidarbha as captain at senior and junior levels, Nagpur University, West Zone. She's a certified level 2 coach from National Cricket Academy, Bangalore. She's the author of Progeny of Birds, Me Too, The Saga of Human Aspirations. She's also a poetess and so much more. We'll talk to Jyoti as we go ahead. So once again, thank you so much, Jyoti, for joining us.
First of all, thank you for letting me come here and speak about my book, which I love to speak about.
That's really lovely. So, okay, we'll start with what was the inspiration for the book, and when did you decide that I need to write this?
Actually, I did not decide that I need to write this. One of my friend, who is also a co-author, Praveen Upasani, he had this idea that because he stays in South Africa, and people staying outside India, they are ridiculed for many of the things that we Indians do. We who are staying here, we don't realize this may seem foolish or stupid to people outside, to the outside world, but for us, it is just a way of life. कैसा ही होता है? We don't question it because we have been seeing our seniors, mothers, aunts, uncles do it, and we follow it without questioning, because there is no doubt in our mind why these things are happening or why we are doing these things. We take it as granted, but to a scientific mind, they don't understand ki ऐसा क्यों करते, why Indians do certain things like that. That is the question that came to Praveen's mind when he was sitting in that Corona period. And that is how it all started. He had come to India. He said it was in 2020 that the idea and the concept of this started, and we started. And then the Corona thing gave me time to study, because this is a subject about which we cannot write without really understanding what it is. Because today, if I ask many of the learned people what certain thing is about, they may not also know it. Even I did not know it, but I tried to discover things. That is how it all started.
Wonderful. So, how long did it take, to crystallize into this form?
I started writing in March, April 20, till I submitted in 23 April.
A lot of hard work has gone in.
Yeah, hard work has gone in, and I'm a person, I don't like to say something which I really don't know. So finding out from people who really know it, then studying things. Otherwise, that was not my genre about which I would have written, had he not instigated me to research it and to speak about it.
So, to start with, let us talk about the topic, the name of the book. How did that come? What does Sanatan mean?
Sanatan, the enigma, the mystery about our culture is there in the minds. Not only in our minds, there are so many things. The foreigners, when outside India, they are not understood. Means our love for Ramayana or for fantasy, they call it. And actually, for them, it is not history. For us, it is history, itihas. For them, they are epics, which is mythology. What is the term that they use? It is not myth. Till means late, even our leaders, they were not believing that Ram was there, and when they were calling it Adam's Bridge, जो लंका से यहाँ तक आता है, it was Adam's Bridge. But when NASA said it really exists, that is why when they started believing that there was something which might have happened, and when the stones that are there matched with what has been told कि राम का नाम से पत्थर तैरता है, they really found the floating stones. So there was similarity, or the things validity rather, I would say, in what was said and what is really there after thousands of years. That is when there was the questions the Western world had about our culture. They had that that the curiosity began. Till then, the narrative was from the government side was totally of disbelief. Even means our great leaders who have written about it, they had that disbelief. They did not want to propagate or what I can say that or accept that yes, there was something in our culture which has been lost, and there is a need to rediscover or reinvent it. That means the Sanatan, the enigmatic culture of eternity, speaks about this, tells you what might have been there, and how you can explain it scientifically. And I go from era to era, from the times unknown, when about Vedic time, you can say. We don't know when the Vedas were created or written, or they were just oral traditions. If it has survived as oral traditions for so many thousand years, there must be something. There are some means sentences from Vedas which you use, I use, so many of us use, but we don't know it is a Vedic literature. It is from the Vedic literature. So, what you can say about these things? So, my book starts from that time. Okay. The hero of my book, who eventually I've named him as Praveen, because he is the one who started this question. So I said, now you have to bear it. So he's sleeping in his bedroom. He rises at early because he's a businessman, and gets up to see someone sitting next to him. And he is a rishi. He gets up and asks, how come you are here? Who are you? He is a businessman and stays in a well protected room, electronically by human, but still someone enters his room and is sitting next to him. So that is how the book starts. I've tried to mix up history with a sort of what you can history with mystery, you can say.
That sounds beautiful. So, just tell us a little bit about the chapterization and the content of the chapters. How many chapters are there, and what do they deal with?
Yes, there are total 30 chapters. 30 chapters. The first one starts with the question, when the past meets the present. Suppose Bhrigu is the rishi that I have brought in to tell us about the history. You know that he is he has written books about, means his surviving books about astrology. Astrology is a subject that is dear to all of us. Everybody wants to know the future, and this astrology was based on the position of the stars. And even today, what Indian almanac or Panchang, as we call it, gives you precise timings of eclipses or grahan. Yeah, any time where what would be the position of the moon in the sky at what time, where it would be. Don't you find it amazing? How would they know without any instruments? How would they know? So that is the enigma of Indian culture, which one needs to know, one needs to understand how it was done, and there has to be research. I am not a big researcher. I am a small time researcher, which I was able to find out so much. if people who really know science and if they understand Sanskrit language, I think India has way to go.
When you talk about the target audience, for whom is
Yes.
this book written?
Actually, initially, this was written for young European kids because, as I said, what Praveen, European and people outside India, because for them, anything Indian is either fantastic or myth.
Hmm.
They really don't know what India has store for it. Take for example in Corona times. Corona times when the Prime Minister asked us to ये डब्बे बजाओ या थाली बजाओ, everybody was very critical of it. But what was the idea behind it? Idea behind it was to evoke a faith in the general public. Everybody knew we do not have the health facilities to cater to 125 crore of people. Then what is that thing that would make us survive? That was only the belief in God and belief in the supernatural that India has on its own. If we believe in everything, for us, God is everywhere. Jhad mein hai, it is in the stone, as they call it. Our statues for them are stones. We bow before a stone. But for us, God is there in the stone. कण कण में भगवान है हमारे लिए, कंकर में शंकर है. So that was the basic idea, what I can say, that went behind this.
What are some
To
of the other
make them
examples that you can tell us about of what you have explained in the book?
basically, as I've said, there are 30 chapters in my book. The first is about means the past meets the present. Then it is about disbelief. Suppose I experience something like Praveen experienced Brugu standing next to him, but then there was a doubt in his mind. Have I gone mad in this because I am staying alone? Am I imagining things? Even though there are sometimes that in India you will see that there are so many sadhus and they show the general public many things. They have some siddhis which we don't understand. There are like you must have heard stories like Narad ji pragat ho gaye, as I told you that day. What was that? कोई भी भगवान, any god would appear at any time when he was invoked, he or that god was invoked by the devotee. What was that? Were the gods doing time travel? Were they going from one place to another? These ideas are new, and now the scientists are exploring these ideas. But they have been in our culture for so many days. But we were always critical and making fun of these ideas. Then the second chapter, third or fourth chapter is about acoustic levitation. Acoustics was one of the most advanced science in India. Acoustics, Sanskrit language especially, and the use of various mantras to do things from like they could cure people with mantras. Sounds fantastic, sounds almost a myth. But if you, even today, in the mandir, there are morning mantras and there are evening mantras. The morning mantras are supposed to arouse the mind into action. And the evening or the night mantras, they have a calming effect so that the person can sleep peacefully without any problems, or rather, I would say. Plus acoustics was used to cure people in the sense there are mantras like Sanjivani mantra. Since Bhurgu was there, we spoke about it. Sanjivani mantra is one thing. Mrutya Sanjivani yantra. Did it really have the power to revive people? That was the question. So what was Sanjivani? Sanjivani was not some jadoo ki aap chhadi ghuma de or that would, but it had something. But Mrita Sanjivani was always, Sanjivani is something that will bring a dying person, tree, or anything to life again. What happens in the ICU exactly today? ICU is a Sanjeevani. If you see most of the doctors name their dog hospitals as Sanjeevani Hospital. Why? Because they bring to life. Like even as we say, pani जहाँ पेड़ के लिए संजीवनी है, yeah, anything that gives you, revives you back to life is Sanjeevani. But as it was projected कि Sanjeevani इन सबने एक मंत्र बोला and then suddenly the person wakes up. Dead person gets alive. Then almost dead person is revived to life even today by some procedures which you can call Sanjeevani. So, but the idea was so presented to us that what does that say? That the medical science was so advanced that they could revive the dead. Revive the dead means almost dead, not dead. Then plus, if you see, India has so many temples built at places where it is physically impossible to go. Kailash ka aap dekh lijiye, any Shiv temple, how did they take such big stones or building material to those places? That there are proofs that acoustic levitation was there. Acoustic levitation is shifting something with the sound energy. And there was one Swiss scientist who had visited Bhutan in 18th century. He has written about it. It is available on the internet. He said that a crowd was levitating a big slab of stone through the slopes, and all they were doing was chanting some mantra. And this was as late means abhi 18th century ki baat hai. This is just now it has happened. 18th century is not too long ago. So, and he has written about it. And Swiss people, you know how precise they are about everything. You know the Swiss watches there, so they will not write anything that he has. He said, I don't have anything to really capture it. Otherwise, it would have been something else. So even today, there are places in the Himalayas where there are sages or rishis or people who really do these things. But one has to really see to believe. I can't give you. I am a believer. I believe in these things. But I will tell, there are people who can research about it. Then ancient education is also one of the subjects that we have dealt with. Today we speak about engineering. Then engineering had in the Takshashila University, there were almost 33 branches of engineering that were there, apart from other subjects. Takshashila, it is the where apna Chanakya was there. So the Arthashastra, which is the most actually he said he has compiled it. He has compiled it means if almost 3,300 years he has compiled it. That means it existed even before that. He said what he did was just a compilation. That means how ancient is our education system. So education system was in place and proper, and they had subjects which are there even today. Like the vehicle building, yantrayan, that subject was also there, and there are documents to prove that. I am not saying something on my own. And even architecture is well known. It was well advanced. What they did thousands of years back cannot be done even with the machines today. So what kind of machines they might be having, one really has to imagine to understand what it was. Then the importance of Guru is one of the subject. Guru Brahma, Guru Vishnu is. It is a parampara in our country to build temples for the Guru. Even today, they make temples of film heroes also. In those times, Gurus were the real heroes because they were the people who were having the real knowledge. So, Guru Brahma, Guru Vishnu is one of the chapter about which we speak about the importance of Guru and how the temples they came into existence from Vedic period where they were just means doing yajna. From there to idol worshippers, what was the journey? It is here that we speak about it. Means again we are ridiculed as idol worshippers. Idol worshippers, if you see the South Indian temples, they have a very peculiar structure. The idol is surrounded by dark stones or stones which have some capacity. So when you go in front of the deity, you feel something every time you go to a big temple which is well known and has been there since centuries. You feel something different, and that is for one to experience. If I tell, or if you tell somebody, they might not believe it, but when they go there, stand in front of the idol, even a non-believer says ki I felt something. Recently I have a friend who's a non-Hindu, who she had gone to Vrindavan. Said ki when I went to that temple, I felt something different when I stood in front of that idol. So she's not a believer of Sri Krishna, but even then she felt something. What was that? Then there are some lingas, they say, which are Sphatik lingas. Sphatik, today we say that the quartz has some amazing qualities. They knew it long back. They were supplying wireless energy. Wireless energy today, I say, if I tell you, ki, Pragya, you will get electricity without wires, you will not believe it. Nobody will, even I will not believe. But some concept of energy transmission without wires, without connection was there at that time. And one really needs to research it and find out how that was done. So see, we all has to believe from sun the energy comes to earth without any wire. That is what a person who told me about this said. I said yes. It comes to us without wires. Then why can't it go from here to other place to without wires? It convinces you. That means by logic it convinces you, but to do it really, when science has to advance. Few years back, telephonic conversation without wires was not possible. Today it is possible. Same thing might happen about electricity or energy transmission also.
What would you like to say to the people who are listening in?
I would like to say ki read my book from the perspective that this is just the tip of the iceberg that I am telling you. I have not researched even 0.001% of what knowledge is there in the Indian subcontinent. But if you go further, and people, because my knowledge is limited, with my understanding, I have understood that much. But there are people with infinite intelligence. If suppose even out of our population, even if 1 lakh people attempt to do and find out what really it was, I think the world will be enlightened, and we really have something like energy that is without any effusions and other things, without any pollution, I would like to say, and that is not impossible. So there are really sources which are available, and if people go and search the net, the books are also available over there. I have taken, it is a rather a like this combination of lokatha, from real facts, from scientific facts, then some imagination also, you can say, somewhere, because some stories you have to make up to put it in a form of a story. Not word and word can be authenticated, but there is something to it. Every time if I say something, there is definitely somewhere there is a source. Though we have not mentioned the source book, if people demand for it, definitely I will compile it and set it there.
So what kind of reading is this book? Actually, it's not like a book of history, is it?
It is history. Um, reclaimed, you can say, in Indian light. Because when you go somewhere and somebody asks you ki, why your pandits wear a choti, you don't have an answer. Why women in India tie a choti over here, men tie a choti over here. You don't have answers, but there are scientific things behind this same. Why you put a bindi over there? Today, this is a toxic plastic that you have put, but actually, our vermilion has some medicinal properties about, and this is the point. You don't put a bindi here, here, here. It is put here between eyebrows. There is some reason for that, and that reason I have mentioned in my book. Every and how Ayurveda was propagated. Ayurveda is one of the things again which is followed in Indian houses, but we don't know about it. आपको सर्दी खांसी होती है, आपकी मम्मी आपको हल्दी घोल के देती थी ना बचपन में. फर्स्ट थिंग दैट वी डू इज रिसोर्ट टू होम रेमेडीज, maximum home remedies, because we don't have much medical advancement, because people really use home remedies in India. And it is because of the knowledge of Ayurveda that has been handed over by their family seniors to them. मेरा आप साधा है बीमारी के लिए तो मुझे नहीं लगता इंडियन फैमिलीज रियली गो टू अ डॉक्टर इमीडिएटली. सर दुखा, कोई ना कोई कुछ कर देगा घर में, कोई बड़ा. इफ वी हैव अ elder person in the house, nani, dadi, mummy, they'll surely give you something. And you also must be doing the same thing, if I'm not wrong, to your children.
Yes.
Am I right?
Yes. Absolutely. Haldi wala doodh is something I think every Indian home resorts to, whenever the weather changes.
Also, the food that we change with the seasons. When the summer comes, you automatically go into that lassi mode. Who told you to do that? Pana mode, lassi mode. We do that. Yes. And that knowledge has been handed over to us by our earlier generation, and we do it without really understanding ki there is some scientific reason to it why we do it as per the season. When the winter comes, still apne aap aa jate hai ghar mein. How in every region has its different food, but according to that region, the food habits, the seasonal changes are taken into consideration. So there is a whole lot of Ayurvedic knowledge in the kitchen of the house, and the women are the torch bearers of that knowledge, which goes into the kitchen and is handed over to the daughter automatically. She follows her mother, and it happens automatically. They need not go to a Ayurvedic college to learn those simple tricks. If it gets complicated, definitely we go to a doctor. So
thank you so much for being the torch bearer of Sanatan in your own way. And this book will definitely be interesting reading for all the viewers also, and it's recommended reading. And we hope that you will continue to contribute and write more books. Thank you so much for joining us on Ek Samvaad. It was a pleasure talking to you.
Thank you for having me here and let me speak about my book. Thank you. God bless you.